All right, everyone, let's get started. If you look at the calendar, it is February 11th, 2026. Now, that date, it's not just another Wednesday. For anyone who follows geopolitics, especially in the Middle East, that date carries a lot of weight. 47 years of it, in fact.
It absolutely does. We're talking about the 47th anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. But, this isn't really a history lesson. We're not going to be talking about the Shah or Khomeini. What we're looking at is a moment right now where that history is crashing into a very, very messy present.
Exactly. It's happening in real time. And I think the best way to understand it, the core idea for today, is to think of it as a split screen.
Yeah.
So imagine your TV screen is cut right down the middle.
That's the perfect way to put it, because on one side of that screen, you've got the official story from Tehran. Power, massive celebrations, a show of unity. It's all for the cameras.
And on the other side of that screen, a completely different reality. You have a country that's, well, kind of fallen apart at the seams. You've got the fallout from that 12-day war with the U.S. and Israel back in June of 25. You have a huge stockpile of nuclear material that's just gone missing. And you have a really brutal, bloody internal crackdown that just happened.
It's celebration versus pure survival. And right in the middle of it all, you have these incredibly high-stakes diplomatic talks happening today in Washington and in Oman that could decide if this all boils over into another war.
So let's start with that first screen, the official narrative. If you turned on Iranian state TV this morning, what do you see?
You are seeing exactly what the regime wants the world to see. It's like a carnival. We're talking huge state-sponsored rallies, hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. The optics are all about invincibility. You have the usual stuff-burning American flags, chants of death to America, death to Israel. It's part of the anniversary ritual.
But there was something different this year, wasn't there? Something specific in the military parade in Azadi Square that felt new.
Yes, a very pointed message. Normally, they roll out their domestic missiles, the Sumar, the Noor, the Qadir, and they were there. But this time, sitting right alongside them on these flatbed trucks, they had downed Israeli drones.
Trophies.
Exactly, trophies from the war last June. And putting those on display, that's a psychological move. It's not just, look at our weapons. It's you hit us, we survived, and we can hit you back.
It's proof of contact. It tells their own people and the world we are not afraid. It's a big shield of defiance. But, and this is where we have to flip to the other side of that screen, behind that shield, is a really grim reality.
It's hiding a complete tragedy, because what the cameras are showing you on the parade route and what's happening in the neighborhoods, it's night and day.
Literally.
We have reports from just last night.
Wow.
While the government is setting off these celebratory fireworks over Tehran, witnesses were hearing something else entirely. People were on their rooftop.
And they weren't cheering.
No. They were shouting, "Death to the dictator."
Which is a direct challenge. And this isn't coming out of nowhere, right? This is the aftershock from the crackdown that started in January.
Yeah.
The numbers here are just staggering.
They're grim. I mean, crackdown feels like too gentle a word for it. We're looking at reports of nearly 7,000 protesters killed.
And that includes children.
Over 200 children.
Yeah.
And over 52,000 arrests. This was not riot control. This was a military operation against their own citizens.
Some of the details coming out of Karaj from the Gohar-Dash district, they are just horrific.
That's where that split screen idea just completely shatters. We have witness testimony describing DSHK heavy machine guns being used on crowds.
Let's just pause on that.
Yeah.
A DSHK. That's not a police weapon. It's a Soviet-era anti-aircraft gun. It's designed to shoot down planes.
Exactly. A weapon of war. Using that on people, the devastation is just unimaginable. And maybe the most chilling detail was about what happened after. Witnesses talked about seeing bulldozers.
Bulldozers.
Yes. Bulldozers being brought in to move piles of bodies just to clear the streets. I mean, that's a level of brutality that's meant to do one thing: instill absolute terror.
And yet in the middle of all this, you have the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, trying to walk this impossible line.
He's trying to be the survivor. I mean, his position is incredibly difficult. He's supposed to be the moderate face of this hardline system. So on one hand, he's publicly apologizing, saying he's ashamed, talking about the great sorrow.
But he can't go too far, can he?
Not at all. The second he does, he's finished. So in the very same breath, he's blaming Western propaganda for everything. He's insisting that Iran is still ready for nuclear talks. He's basically trying to keep the door open to the West while his house is burning down behind him.
Which brings us to the international part of this crisis, the nuclear black hole. But before we get into that, if you are enjoying this video, please watch it until the end. This greatly helps the channel and encourages us to continue our work. Okay, so back to it. We mentioned the 12-day war in June 2025. U.S. and Israeli strikes hit Iranian nuclear sites. The thinking at the time was, okay, problem delayed.
That was the hope, yeah, that the program was set back by years. But the intelligence coming in now, in February 2026, tells a very different story. What we have is what some experts are calling a nuclear black hole.
That sounds bad. What does it actually mean?
It means we've lost track. We can't see what's happening. We know Iran is still enriching uranium up to 60% purity, which is very, very high. But the real alarm bell comes from the UN inspectors. Before the war, they had this huge stockpile accounted for, sealed, tagged.
That 400-kilogram stockpile we've heard about.
Exactly, 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium. And as of Juneteenth, right after the strikes, it's gone, unaccounted for.
Gone. Like it's just walked away.
It was moved, hidden somewhere. And that number, 400 kilograms, is critical because if you take that material and you run it through more advanced centrifuges, getting it from 60% to 90%, which is weapons grade, is a very, very short step.
So we're not talking about years anymore.
We're talking weeks, maybe even days. And if they do that, that missing stockpile could theoretically produce more than 9 nuclear bombs.
9. That changes the entire calculation, doesn't it? It's not a maybe one day scenario anymore. It's a they could have it right now scenario.
And that black hole is what's driving the American military posture. We're in the second Trump administration, and the strategy is all about maximum pressure.
We've seen the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier group is in the region, but there's talk of more. He used a specific word.
An armada.
An armada. That sounds theatrical.
It is, but the threat is real.
Yeah.
He's openly considering sending a second carrier group. That is a massive concentration of force. You don't do that just for show.
And his message is pretty simple.
It's totally binary. No nuclear weapons, no missiles. That's the deal. And he's threatening very strong measures if it doesn't happen. He seems to think Iran is desperate enough to make a deal.
But the military option is very much on the table.
It is. Which brings us to the diplomatic dance that's happening as we speak. Because while the ships are sailing, the politicians are talking.
And today is huge in Washington. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is there meeting with President Trump. The assumption is always that they're on the same page.
But if you look closely, you can see real friction. Trump is transactional. He said, I think they want to make a deal. He wants a nuclear deal he can sign. Netanyahu, on the other hand, is terrified of a narrow deal.
Because for Israel, it's not just about the bomb.
Not at all. Netanyahu is pushing hard to broaden the scope. He wants any deal to include ballistic missiles, to include their proxy groups like Hezbollah and Hamas.
And he's bringing intelligence to back that up, I understand.
He is. Israeli intelligence believes that if sanctions are lifted without other restrictions, Iran could rebuild its ballistic missile arsenal to nearly 2,000 missiles in a matter of weeks.
Weeks. That's an incredible speed.
It is. And that's why Netanyahu is so worried. He doesn't want the U.S. to get a signature on a nuclear deal, declare victory, and then leave Israel staring down 2,000 missiles aimed at Tel Aviv.
So as they're meeting in the Oval Office, there's a whole other track happening in the background. In Oman.
The Oman Channel. This is where the real quiet work is being done. U.S. and Iranian diplomats talking through mediators. And now Ali Larijani, a very senior advisor to the supreme leader, is traveling to Qatar.
Larijani is a serious player. That signals they're taking this seriously.
It does, but, let's manage expectations. I heard an analyst describe these talks perfectly. They were asked if there was light at the end of the tunnel.
And the answer?
The answer was, it's not that there is light at the end of the tunnel, it's that they are currently trying to build the tunnel.
Wow. That says a lot.
It really does. They're starting from almost nothing. They're just trying to figure out if they can even have a real conversation without it all blowing up.
Okay, let's talk about the economic pressure, the so-called shadow fleet.
Right, this is another key lever. The U.S. is thinking about seizing Iranian oil tankers, the ones that are secretly taking crude to China. That's their economic lifeline.
But they haven't pulled the trigger. Why not?
Yeah, fear the blowback. The White House is worried about oil prices. Right now, crude is stable, around $64 a barrel. But if the U.S. starts grabbing tankers, Iran could mine the Strait of Hormuz.
That's your point.
Exactly. And then we're not talking $64 oil. We are talking global economic chaos. And a huge spike in gas prices is the last thing any administration wants. It's a game of chicken.
So while all that is going on, the military is getting ready. You pointed out a very specific tactical change at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar.
Yeah, it's a small detail, but it tells a big story. U.S. forces have moved their Patriot missile battery off of their static launchers. They've put them on mobile trucks.
Why does that matter?
Because a static launcher is a sitting duck. It's an easy target for an incoming missile. But when it's on a truck, you can shoot and scoot. You fire your interceptor, and then you move before they can target your position.
So it's a defensive move. It means they really think they might get hit.
Precisely. You don't do that unless you believe an attack is a real possibility. It shows that for all the talk about deals, the U.S. military is preparing for things to go sideways.
It's just an entire region on a knife's edge.
It is. I mean, if you just pull back and look at the whole picture, you have a regime celebrating its own history while it's literally killing its own future in the streets. You have a U.S. president sending armadas with one hand and offering deals with the other, and you have an Israeli government that feels like its existence is at stake.
And all the while, that 400 kilograms of uranium is somewhere.
That's the ghost in the machine,
Yeah.
the thing that keeps everyone awake at night.
So as we finish up, just keep that image in your head, that split screen. Fireworks over Tehran on one side, and on the other, the silent missing uranium and those missile launchers moving in the Qatari desert. The entire region is just holding its breath.
It really is a moment where every single move could be the one that starts a war.
And on that note, we'll end today's lecture. If viewers enjoyed the video, they can subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell to be notified about new videos, click the like button, and share the video with their colleagues, as this helps us maintain the channel. Thank you.